many people do we have in the waiting, you know?
I can't see that side of it, so have a seat, Paul.
Do you have a preference?
Nope, anywhere you want to be.
If you grew up Baptist, you sat back here. So I'm going.
Well, since you were gonna be talking, if you'd like, we can sit up here where the camera can see you.
Am I gonna be talking?
Oh,
I thought you had said that you.
you're on the agenda.
I hope you're on the agenda, actually.
Okay, yeah, I mean, you know, something I probably should.
Can you figure out? Where does
You
this
get to
go?
move up to the adult table.
That goes to the.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess I need to sit over there.
There are more chairs here, if somebody wants to sit up there. They're more comfortable. The battery's running low.
I know,
Yeah.
and she went to go, I can go get the power cord.
You are comfortable.
Got a headrest, like the dentist.
Sorry, guys, it'll be just a minute. We're looking for a power cord so our laptop doesn't die. Just the plug.
Or you today. The agenda.
Reading it.
I'll share it at the end of the San Francisco, and I'll bring the flash. I haven't built the house. My car's around. Nice, I'm really happy there.
A really good layout and a good location.
You know, I love these crews. Some stuff here.
You got it. Barely.
I designed it.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay.
All right,
So I go at 7:04, and I'm gonna call the meeting to order. So I see everybody is here. Derek Martin is online. Robin Kissel's online. There's Hannigan, sorry, Corey Griffiths and myself from Freshwell were here. So we do have a guest speaker tonight.
we have to, I move to approve the agenda.
Okay. Well, as part of the roll call, it's that recognized guest speakers, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to recognize.
Oh,
all of
okay.
those. The lessons.
Valdez.
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
From the Upper Pioneer Fire Department.
correct.
We also have Katie Sickle, the town manager of Bayfield, in here just for moral support, I think. Okay, so you move to approve the agenda, Krista,
Yes,
okay, I'll second that. Corey? Aye. You're in favor, okay, Derek? And
Aye.
Rob's got a thumbs up, so the agenda has been approved. I'll make a motion that we approve the previous minutes. Second. Carissa seconds. Corey. Okay, Robin's a thumbs up and Derek's a thumbs up. Okay. Special business, budget committee. Carissa, is there, or Corey, is there anything to talk about? on the
we
budget
didn't have
committee?
any.
Okay,
At that time, we didn't even look at trying to find, what was it, Trevor, $10,300 extra to get clay added into the gravel mix.
Yeah, yep, that was about right. 10,300 or right around 11.
okay, and we haven't had a chance to do that yet, and, okay. So we do need to do that. Okay, nothing else in the budget committee, recreation committee, Robin or Derek, did you have anything for that? Robin?
No, I just found a few spots that might make a good outdoor swimming pool. Other than that, nothing else.
No, there's nothing.
Derek.
No.
Okay.
Half kidding. So,
All right. On the personnel committee, I'll go ahead and mention a few things. We have started working with I always have trouble remembering the name of the headhunter. They work for nonprofits. CPHSR, I believe is the name. I'm sorry. CPHSR. Okay, whatever. Okay. And they have started sending us a few resumes. We need to take a look at them and see if we want her to go further with any screens on any of those resumes. She's also updated our recruitment package, so if we wind up having to go out and advertise, we'll have an updated package. Also, with regards to the interim manager, I had some conversations with Katie Sickle. She had indicated they don't have anybody to really support us in that way, but their board of, what do you call the board?
The board basically just approved us consulting, any way that we can help you.
Okay, so they're available if we have questions for them or if you need any assistance, but with regards to an interim manager, I had sent the email out to the board members earlier last week that I had been given the name by our attorney. He had given us the name of Mark Garcia, who happens to be the interim manager in Ignacio. He puts about 40 hours a week in doing that. He's also on a commission. He was appointed by Polis. He's involved in some other things. We had about an hour conversation and he's very interested. He's intrigued, but he's not sure if there's a way that he can make it work. So we were talking about him possibly being able to support us 1 or 2 days a week, come in, keep tabs on things. He also offered that if he comes, he'd be happy to do an organizational assessment to see if we're properly manned in certain areas. And I think that could be useful. So, but he has not made his decision up. He was going to let me know sometime this week. So he's the only current candidate we have as an interim manager. So we'll see whether or not anything develops for that. If any of the rest of you know of anybody else that may be capable and may be interested, let them know and, have them contact the board. Okay.
It's not like we're not doing anything for the resident here. We've had interviews with people, we've gotten down almost to hiring someone a couple times. So we're working on it. We're working as best as we can.
Yeah, I did not mention that. Thank you for bringing that up, Chris. So we did have a couple of candidates that we made job offers. In one case in particular, he lived in another state and he lives in a low-cost area. And when he looked at the cost of housing, it was shocking to him. He couldn't make it work. We did everything we could to get him out here, but he could not afford to move out here. So at any rate, we have been attempting. We did get some resumes from Gloria, I think yesterday. I haven't had a chance to look at them. So we're moving on that front. I don't have anything else in the personnel area. Do you, Robin?
No, it's just been quite busy. That's all I got it's been busy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. Okay, so I'll move on to public comments then. We have an opportunity. If anybody has anything they'd like to address to the board, you can have the floor for up to 5 minutes. So. Okay, Katie, you want to go ahead?
Well, I won't take 5 minutes. I am Katie Sickles. I'm the town manager in Bayfield, been there a little over 3 years. And I want to say that the sheriff's office has blessed us with an interim town marshal for 9 months. And our goal is not to interfere. Our goal is to do whatever we can to assist Forest Lakes in finding a director. I want to let you know that Colorado City and County Managers Association, we do have a managers in transition availability. In fact, that's how they found me when I came here. So I'll be more than happy if you have, I think I have a job description basically to let some managers in transition know that this could be a possibility for an interim. So
would it be helpful if we gave you a copy of the recruiting pamphlet?
that would be awesome. And I do know Gloria, so.
Oh, you know, Gloria.
Yeah.
Let me, I think we have the current, pamphlet now, right? Oh, why don't you do it, and Corey, if you don't mind. Corey, we'll go ahead and email that to you. That way, so is that somebody that you can reach out to and then they may?
Yes.
Okay, and so would that be primarily looking for an interim manager, or is that also looking?
It could be either one.
Okay, so please send that over to them, then they can give us kind of an idea or any heads up if there's any potential candidates. That would be awesome. Thank you very much, Kate. Okay, Steve, you want to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that, residents need to be aware that the road department's doing everything they can to keep the water flowing where it needs to flow. There has been 1 or 2 times that residents have complained because the bar ditch got cut right in front of their driveway and they bottomed out a couple times. Come to find out, they were able to locate their culvert, which they didn't even know they had. And with some assistance, the culvert was located, dug out, water's flowing, and they can now fill in what was a bar ditch that they were banging their car on.
So that's something FLMD did, was dig it out? Or did they have to-
No,
they had to
no,
contract
they
out?
identified it to the owners, the
Yeah.
owners dug it out.
Yep.
And then it needed to be, kind of rotor rooted in a way, but so much water came through, it just flushed itself out. But with 28 or almost 28 miles of road in the subdivision, residents need to understand it takes time. And my personal view as a resident is that it's like a large ship being turned around in a small river. Things take time.
And I will add to what you're saying, Steve, that before everyone was let in from the waiting room, we were discussing what the road crews are currently doing, what the O&M people. They have a couple people working full-time trying to fill potholes. They're making some progress, but it's slow when you get that much road. And the rest of the crew has been out clearing culverts and ditches.
Yeah.
So they're out working as fast as they can. If you're aware of an issue, that's fine, call it in, because somebody may not have called it in yet.
Well, and the other thing too, I'd like to mention, which I've mentioned before, is when you call in, realize that the girls in the office aren't in charge of the crews. Talk to them politely with respect, and you'll get respect in return, and they'll get the message out.
All right, good advocate. Okay, anything else, Steve?
That's it.
Thank you. Donna, anybody else? Okay,
Anybody, I think Jim.
I
Moore-
have a question.
okay.
Yes, I have a question. On the general manager position, do
Yes.
you have that out on LinkedIn for Durango and the surrounding area?
It is not yet. The first thing we did after we were unsuccessful in our bid bringing the other candidates, they had been candidates from the previous time when they'd advertised. When that did not pan out, we immediately went back to our headhunter to get it refreshed. If we need to advertise, we did advertise on LinkedIn and some other websites. They're good for bringing public managers in. And she had really good success the last time. Indeed was used the last time. I can't tell you what all the different sources were. At this point in time, though, she has a number of resumes from people that have looked for similar positions that she thinks may be interested. So in the interest of speeding it up, we're taking a look at those resumes just to see if any of them may have potential. And we will advertise if need be, but that would draw it out if we have to get to that point.
Thank you.
That's your question, Julie?
Yes, thank you.
Uh-huh.
You still on there, Jim?
I am. So, my turn?
Yeah.
So I have some issues with the culverts and ditches, the official Forest Lakes Metro District map and meeting notifications. In the area of the roads, I've got some credentials I'm going to announce just so you know I'm not blowing smoke here. I operated a dozer and drove a dump truck when I was in high school for my village. I owned a farm for 20 years and used a galleon road grader to build my road out of up from a beaten track into a real 2-lane road. Used a dozer and other equipment to build 3 ponds, plowed snow for myself and 2 other neighbors. So I and I was a municipal planner for 10 years for the community I lived in. That's just a background. I have a picture that I sent to all the board members. I'm hoping that you can display the photo. Is someone able to do that?
I did not get a picture. I didn't
Yeah,
get any
I got the picture. Yeah, I've seen that. I've had that same kind of thing happen to my driveway in the past. I didn't have that this year, but I've had them cut down so deep that there's actually been clay in my driveway, but so
Do you have it there, Jim? You could show the camera?
Corey,
is there a way you can hold that in from the camera or something? I'm not sure how to.
The version of Zoom you're using doesn't seem to support screen
Oh.
sharing and so forth, so. I'll just move on. What we had across the road, the entire length of Forest Lakes Drive, the spur that comes from service entrance to in toward the rest of the short spur, from the intersection all the way up to where my house is at 700 Forest Lakes Drive. The snowplow came and peeled back 3 to 4 inches of road base, put it in the ditch, put it across the driveways of my neighbors across the street. The road base was so heavy and deep that my neighbor, who's a widowed elderly lady who had a doctor's appointment, came across the street and got me to help dig her out because she couldn't drive over it. And so I dug her out and then used my snow plow and moved it across the street to a flat spot. Went down to another neighbor, a guy who has a broken neck and is wearing a neck brace. Went down to his place and plowed his across the street to keep it away from the ditches. This was impenetrable and it filled the ditches. Yesterday, the road crew was there, much to their credit, doing a great job grading the road. They used the road grader, which is not the tool for the job. They used the road grader to excavate the ditches, which is at best a half-baked scenario, and immediately plows dirt up against the end of the culvert for my neighbor's property. She had to get out there with a shovel and dig out the dirt that the road grader put up against the end of her culvert. This business of the culverts being the property owner's problem does not make sense in this circumstance. My premise is you broke it, you fix it. The Forest Lakes Management Metro District needs to get some proper equipment in here to pressure wash out some of these culverts that have been so plugged up over the years that they don't function anymore. There's no way this elderly woman's going to be out there with a stick and a hoe and on her face digging out that culvert.
Well, if you were in a meeting about 6 months ago, Jim, we reached out to the residents and said, if you need help, we have that equipment. And they were doing that last summer. They were
Okay.
looking at what ditches or what culverts could be a problem. I know they were doing that on my street. And at one point, my neighbor said, don't touch my culvert. So you have to realize that they did that last year. We said on the meeting, and I believe we had it on our bill, the monthly bill. Clean out your culverts. If you need help, call. We were willing to help anyone that showed an interest in that.
Okay, well, I can
So
tell
we
you
did
2
have the
people who will be
equipment.
very eager and maybe a third.
Please pass it on to your neighbors if they don't watch or listen to the meeting.
I will do that, and I will urge the community to rent or invest in a proper backhoe to do this ditch work, because the road grader is not up to the job. Many places it's fine. You get a long stretch of road, but here we have driveway after driveway after driveway, and you can dip that blade in there and there's no way to pull it back. It's not the way to do this job in this circumstance. Anyway, moving on. If you look at the website, and in the email I sent all of you, the link to this map is on the website. you'll notice that Forest Lakes Drive, and I think it's Snowbird Lane, are depicted as a dead end. And guess who bought a house based on that map? We bought our house remotely. We had a local agent serve us by examining the house. We had a house inspection, all that kind of stuff. But I was in the Denver metro, hospitalized from injuries. I couldn't come down here and do a physical site inspection. And I'm not sure I would have thought to drive beyond my home and start inspecting the road network in here. There is a connection between Forest Lakes Drive and I believe it's Mesa and Pine Top. That's not on the map. That's not on the map I used to buy my home. So instead of living on a dead end street, I'm living on one of the most heavily used through streets by people who live all the way at the top of Forest Lakes, coming down and literally plummeting off Mesa, because that's not even a proper intersection. That thing doesn't even have a flat landing area at the intersection of Mesa and Forest Lakes Drive. You plunge off that. And these people go blasting through here 40 miles an hour in their cars. I can wash my car today, and by tomorrow it's caked in dust so you can't even see out the windows. This road does not belong as a through street. And so I'll pursue this later. I don't expect a solution at this meeting. And I know some of the board members are retiring. And I appreciate your service. I know what it's like to volunteer for 10 years in municipal planning. It's brutal. But this is a problem you guys created, and I want a solution to it, because this is not what you say this community is. And the last thing is meeting notification.
Your 5 minutes is up, so make it fast.
You can make it clear.
Okay. I'm asking that you make formal meeting notifications via normal media, email, next door, otherwise. The only way I heard about this meeting is because a new incoming board member, Steve Dexel, mentioned the meeting on Nextdoor. And then I can see it on the website. It's your responsibility is to reach out. The Village of Bayfield reaches out. I see there.
Okay, your 5 minutes is done, Jim. No.
Well, Jim, let me just say one thing. We've been looking at ways to possibly send email notifications. However, the official and the approved means to notify everybody via the website. So we also posted at the mail stop, and
Since the inception of Forest Lakes, it's been the second Tuesday of every month. I don't know how much easier we can make it.
I got no notice about the upcoming election, about nominations, about candidate forum, nothing. No
Well, if you look
ballot.
on the website under updates, right? Under updates, drops
You
down.
never miss a month of sending me my bill. You know where I live. You have my email address. It's
And I
not too much
believe,
you have to ask.
I believe on that bill,
It did say.
There-
accepting
there's-
nominations.
there's a little area of notes. So we talk about the election, we talked about end of year, I don't know, I did mine electronically.
So the month in January, it was put on the bills that we were accepting self-nominations.
So, yeah, we've looked at getting a message board. But there's no way, I was one of the first to veto it. The price of getting a message board out here was in the thousands. And I said, not with this tight budget that we have. I don't know what to say other than it's the second Tuesday of every month, and a year and a half ago, we voted after discussion a couple of months that it was going to be at 7 o'clock. So that was the only change we've made in 30 years. Go ahead.
If we could just possibly make it extremely simple by having a hot link on that screen instead of going into all these other deals to try to find the calendar or whatever. Just have a hot link that says meeting information, boom, push the button and it opens up.
That's a
I mean, I've-
possibility, that
I've-
might be easier.
I've had 10 people call me. I had 2 tonight call me and say, how do I get on that? And I'm like, well, it's here and here. And they go, why is it so hard to find? I mean, we know where it is, but if somebody new coming in or whatever, they don't know.
Isn't there a side panel? that
Yeah, but
has
you gotta go up and
things?
hit the 3 lines on the top right-hand side and you get a drop down, then you gotta go into a category and then you gotta just put a hot link.
So
there.
when the
Just boom.
Google screen comes up, does it automatically, Steve, go to where you want it to go? Oh my
No.
gosh, you have to enter something, okay? And then maybe when you enter, I'm looking for denim jeans.
No.
Then the denim jeans
Yeah.
comes down and you look, how many
Yeah.
things have denim jeans? We can try doing that. I think it's a good idea, but oh my God, we have to hold your hands, really?
Yeah, I
We
think some
do.
people you do have to hold their hand.
Well,
This is one.
Yeah, no, but the bottom line is I think if we could look. at
Disagree.
Just a hot link that somebody can tab on,
no,
opens it up.
that's.
We'll look into,
That's worth considering.
we'll look
Thank you.
into those. Let's move on.
I want to thank you for listening to me. Come off pretty intensely. I really appreciate you taking the time to hear me out and for the job you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, did we have any more comments from anybody? Anybody else sticking their hand up?
I don't see anything, sir.
Okay, we will move on then. Time for the reports. But were you gonna give the manager's report this time, just kind of an update on the?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Shauna, do you have the floor?
So, we have the payroll service contract that'll go for voting, or not payroll, I'm sorry. Payroll services processed our last, pay run. So we're up and running with them. There were some kinks that needed to be worked out. By next time, we should be all good to go. There were no errors, anything like that. They'll do direct deposit next pay run.
And all the guys, everyone got their paycheck.
Yes, ma'am. They were handwritten checks this time, but that's what the payroll company needed to do in order to make sure there wasn't any errors in the withholdings and things like that. So Barb worked that through with them and it'll all process like normal next pay run. The auditor contract we have, and is just waiting for y'all's approval this evening and some signatures on the contract. And then we'll get started with the audit. Financial plan for infrastructure obviously is ongoing. Leslie and Jamie are working closely with Cassell. Leslie has been scheduled for some Cassell training in a couple of weeks. She's going to get 3 days of virtual training. Me and Jamie are both going to attend those as well. That way we all just kind of know what's going on, and it'll be geared towards the new financing system or financial model that Leslie wants to bring to the table.
And so once she gets that new model set up, it's easier to comprehend. I mean, I was looking
Yes.
at the financial report this time, it's like, what do I
Yes,
do with this?
Yes.
Okay. And once we get that set up, then somebody's gonna have to develop the charts so that we can look at this monthly and we can track it with a line chart or something.
Yes, sir.
And we'll be able to do that at that time.
Yes, sir.
Now, whose responsibility you envision that will be?
The district manager always did that before. Jamie kind of gave him the information and then he made those sorts of charts. I don't know if that's how it will still work or if Leslie will present that information on a monthly budget or basis, or if,
We'll discuss that because you guys are closer to a lot of that. I mean, you are in that every day.
yes, sir.
If we develop a standard report, it should be easy to hit a button and print that out.
Yes,
So
sir.
I'd kind of like to see if you guys can come up with something that takes that load off the manager's desk.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. We have, the greater lease that's due in June. Trevor might be able to answer some questions about that. I don't know where they're at with that. I just know that it's due in June and they did have several talks with them. Purchase of the snow plows, the F550s, that's on Trevor's list too. I know he's, reached out to them several times. Yes, sir. Let's see. Paul can talk about the, agreement with the Forest Service. He kind of filled Jamie in and brought her up to speed. I think he can share that information with y'all tonight. Generators, Rick did get back with us. He gave us some more specifics on what sorts of generators we need. Trevor had gathered 3 different bids and Rick looked over them and said, well, this is kind of what we need. Let's get bids from these places on these specific. Yes, it was about the sound that he was saying we needed. That was a piece of information Trevor didn't know the first go around when he gathered his bids.
So we've gone back out for new bids.
Yes, sir.
Awesome, okay.
The hydrant testing, I know they're gonna get underway with that, and I'm sure Trevor will speak more on that. Air conditioning for the office, honestly, we haven't had time to look in that. There's been way higher priorities. Roller rental, it's here, that's done with, so we can check that out. The solar panels, we're just waiting, on the electrician to get some parts, and then that will be complete. LPEA has been over doing their part with the transformer upgrade and stuff. I know one of the arrays is online. I spoke to Shaw Solar today. So just waiting on that last little pieces that the electrician needs. Water for this year, me and Trevor had talked. Forest Lakes, East Forest Lakes is a go-ahead. We do have enough supplies in the yard to supply them with water. That was one that Bruce had promised. Timber, Trevor had to get with Core Main to make sure it wasn't too late to order material to do that. So he was waiting from them. I know that he put in several phone calls to them.
It was just the 2.
Yes, ma'am. It was just 3 lots on timber and then 1 lot on East Forest Lakes. East Forest Lakes is going to be in this week to pay his money.
That's just service line, we're not filling a main or nothing, right?
Correct.
Well, it's a main extension on timber.
On timber, it would be mainline extension off of the service line. That's my understanding.
And do we have plans drawn up for that, or are you just digging a hole and throwing pipe together?
That would be a good question for Trevor. Not sure. I know on East Forest Lakes, our infrastructure is already right there. It's just about running the meter pit and stuff is my understanding for it.
Yep, those would be like regular taps
Yeah.
for the East Forest.
Yeah, it would just be, our infrastructure is already there. It would just be putting the meter and doing taps. The fish in the pond, I haven't worked personally on any of that. I don't think anybody has. Once again, wasn't really a priority as far as some of the other things. We haven't even talked about a mainline extension for next year, just trying to keep our head above water for this year and get those sorts of things figured out. The Sawyer contract, we have all the bids gathered. Y'all will vote on that this evening. Procedure for snow plowing, haven't touched on that either. I did have a conversation with a few people at Verizon this week for a cell tower. I filled out a paper, their sheet for a lease agreement, or that we were interested in leasing land to them for a cell tower. I was told it generally took about 5 business days to hear back from that. So any day now, I should have some more information for y'all on that.
Oh, good for you.
That was a whole day's worth of work. Just no, call this number. You need to talk to this number.
When that is, because it was months before and multiple.
Yes.
Somebody, you have to code something. like that.
Somehow.
That's
I was
the only thing.
relentless,
It's
so.
See, there's still gonna be a lot of steps.
Yes, sir.
And they're gonna check and see if it makes sense for them too, but at least we now have something moving, so that's.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. The Bennett Meyer water letters, they went out. We've collected 3 payments from leases, just waiting for 1 more. And then I will send out the schedule for the ditch water. So we made good headway this month on the punch list.
Awesome. You did mention flushing fire hydrants. I know Trevor's probably gonna talk about it. Trevor, that's something I thought I'd mention. I was on Loop Road. I just happened to go the entire Loop Road a couple of days ago. And when I was driving back towards my house, somewhere near the top, I noticed there was a fire hydrant that looked like it had been broken. It sits right up next to the road. And one of the caps was hanging there and it looks like the threads have been broken off of it. So when you start looking at this fire hydrant, you may have one that you gotta replace up there.
Yep, we were aware of those.
Okay.
We've clipped a couple of them, just trying to clear them out. And while we're talking about it, our fire hydrants are so old. A lot of those nozzles that we have currently in those, they're lead insert nozzles.
Oh,
So they don't screw in.
oh,
And I've reached out to Core and Main to see if they have anything that we can, replace those with. And I heard back yesterday evening that they don't make those anymore and they haven't for years. So that's part of them kind of rolling out the lead part of things. So with that being said, we're going to have to start, upgrading our fire hydrants now.
do we know which ones or how many have that lead insert in them and how many are more current?
I'm going to say pretty much all of them, besides some of the new ones that we put in on our mainline extensions. Those ones will be good, but everything else, I can guarantee you they're all going to be lead insert nozzles.
And so under that new law in Colorado that we've got to go look at that stuff, those are gonna have to be addressed also then.
Yes, sir.
That's,
You have to be removed from the system.
wow,
Can we maybe get together with the grant writer and see if you
Yeah.
can find something?
yeah,
You think
okay.
there's something out there?
We're
Yeah.
looking at
Yeah,
it.
Sean's gonna contact the grant
Yeah.
to see if she can look at something like that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's your list.
No problem.
Wow. That's not something I had even considered. I had no idea there was lead in the fire hydrants. Okay, thank you for the report, Sean. Is there anything else? That was it?
I have the administration report if you're ready to move on to that.
Okay.
So we did 5 title transfers, 2 title requests, 10 shut-off notices this month, 95 friendly reminders, 8 fob replacements. The 171 account updates is not accurate. About 200 phone calls, 1,204 payments processed, 24 paid by text, 473 card payments, 87 made through Payport, 620 in-house, either cash or checks, 574 paperless accounts, and 165 accounts set up on auto pay. We did cancel the election, so that's not happening. 3 board members were appointed and will be sworn in May 2nd. So they'll be part of the May board meeting. I touched on Cassell and Leslie, her training scheduled for later this month, and there will be 3 training days, virtual training days. The 2023 budget has been submitted and accepted by DOLA.
Yay.
So that's good news. Jamie put a note that she had requested someone from Jamie Mathis CPA to attend the board meeting this evening. I don't believe they were on, just in case we had any sorts of questions for them. They did bring a new gentleman on. His name is Douglas. He's a new associate, and he'll be the lead for our audit. and he has experience working with governmental entities. So that's a plus on top of the other gentleman having Cassell experience. I think it's a really good decision that we go with them because they seem to have a lot of knowledge that we'll need.
Yeah, and hopefully you guys can get the chance to discuss with them that we're gonna change the way we're doing accounting. so
Correct.
that It'll be more in line with most people and a little easier to follow.
Yes, sir.
Great.
So Mark Fusion has us scheduled for the lead training. I believe it's May 4th or 5th. I can't remember right off the top of my head. We do have some exciting news. We have a now called an outbounding campaign for text messages and email. So what that means is we'll be able to send out those mass messages that everyone has been asking for. What that goes along with that is we do pay by the message. We pay a flat rate every month, but then if we go over our messages, we pay by the message. So we need to decide what sorts of messages we send. I don't think it's worth the district's time to send out little messages when we have the updates on the webpage for that. But major messages like the San Moritz road work and the road having to be closed down, anyone who was immediately affected by that road closure got a text message or an email, but only if the district has permission to contact them in that way. So we have to have residents fill out those updated information pages. We have to have permission to contact you by email or text message. And without an email or a text message telephone number, it doesn't do much good. So I'm asking for residents to please make sure your information is up to date with the office. Call me, come in. There's a paper I can email you to give me permission to contact you that way. So we can start building those lists for emergency messages. But that's exciting. It's what people have been wanting, and I think it will be useful.
So it's finally up and running, what you're saying.
Yes.
So we have some schedule of what it would cost to send the messages out.
So
Is
like
that
I
something
said,
the
it's,
board needs to meet on and need to set policy for?
we probably just need to decide what sorts of messages we use the system for.
So we're gonna have to know what that would cost to help us make that decision.
Yes, sir. And I believe, like I said, I believe you get 100 messages for the flat fee a month. And then it's like 2 pennies for every message after that. So, and I can gather y'all some details.
Yeah, that would be good. The board needs to take a look at that.
Yes, sir. But that's exciting. Like I said, it's finally something that, the public has been asking for. She also put on here, that her and Trevor have a meeting with WCI to discuss options regarding trash services, including roll-off containers, a trash compactor, and recycling bins. I did share that with the board in that last email today because I forgot to put it in the packet.
So the picture, I didn't see anything much to go with.
That was it because they haven't had their meeting with her yet. So she just wanted y'all to know that we are looking at those sorts of things. And the reason we're going to look at other options is GFL has increased our price per pickup of the dumpsters.
Not to mention the fact that they've not been very reliable and they've left us hanging many times.
Yes, sir.
And it's caused the residents a lot of problems. So
Yes, sir. On Wednesday, tomorrow, the cameras at the nail stop will be fully functional and operational. The tech guy's coming out tomorrow, so that'll be great. And that's really all we have. We have a couple of land surveys, one from BLM. I attached the map in the letter for y'all to see exactly what's happening. It's the BLM in the middle of the district. Their borders are going to get surveyed and some fire mitigation by hand. They'll be in the district for about 2 months, starting May 1st. So, we need to decide, as y'all as a board needs to decide how we get that word out, whether it's letters that are affecting just the immediate surrounding, some sort of update on the website, posted on the front door.
That one's important enough probably to the bordering neighbors that we probably should consider letters, I would think.
Yes, sir.
They talked about the car will be parked, the truck will be parked on city roads.
Mhm.
It does have a government plate.
Yes,
And they will be marking trees and ground.
yes, ma'am. Yes,
So
ma'am.
if-
And they did say that they would be knocking on all of the doors and handing out cards and speaking to people as well.
Probably, yeah, something that.
See,
I was just curious if she had an app.
Yes, sir.
yeah,
Cool, guys.
but in the map, besides the square, so the colored one, okay, so we've got
And I
the
do
square in
have
the
a
middle, but I also pictured it as, so it had red and blue.
Yeah, right
there.
here.
So this is our BLM in the middle, but it also is doing upper to the left of the state property.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. So the red is what they're doing, but it does encompass, the end of our roads
Mhm.
up there,
Yeah.
so. Yeah, I don't think I've ever been to this BLM, but
It's,
I've been up there. So is that the state property?
I believe that's state, yep.
Yeah, okay. So it will affect the northwest corner of
Yes.
Forest Lakes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And then they're starting, I'm sorry. They got-
May 1st.
May
Can I get
1st.
a copy of that, though?
Yeah, you can.
Cool,
I'll get you one at the end.
okay.
That's all. Oh, the road maintenance tab on FLMD.com is being updated daily with where the guys are working in the district, what road is being maintained. So they've been really good about doing that daily. So I think that's all I have.
Very good. Well, thank you.
I wanted to add that it was May 4th is the webinar, and it's the LCRR program, just for the record.
Yes, ma'am.
When Shauna was talking about
The red training.
good lead training, so that's what they're calling it, LCRR program.
Mhm.
And everyone will attend, right?
Um, I was about to say, I think that's on Trevor to answer. I know that me and Jamie will be included in the
Yeah.
training because Mark said it would be administratively heavy as far as what needs to happen. And I don't know what all gentlemen from the shop will be attending.
Okay.
Yeah, Mark signed us all up for it.
Okay, so he feels like everybody needs to sit on
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Are you guys gonna come here to get good?
That was my understanding.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Great.
it. All right.
And I just did the cost real quick on this text messaging.
Mhm.
So if it includes 100 messages, let's say it goes out to 800 residents at 2 cents each, that's $16. So depending on the cost initially of monthly.
It's $100
It's
a month.
$100.
And then any message over the allotted, which I believe was 100 messages, it's
Cents.
literally cents.
Okay,
So the majority of messages are probably gonna cost us an extra 16 or.
right. So you have to do, yeah, right. And even if it's twice a week, twice a month, we're looking at $32 on top of the 100, which is the base cost per month.
Yes, ma'am.
That's very reasonable.
Sounds reasonable. Nonetheless, if we're gonna have a policy, that's really up to the next board to.
Yeah.
We don't have time to do that today.
But great, great research on that.
Okay. Maintenance, Trevor, the floor is yours.
Alrighty. So for our March activities, we've continued to plow snow, push back snowbanks, cut pack, do slushing and chip the roads. We've been filling in our potholes as best we can, and we actually started doing our road grading as well. We installed some new mailboxes. I think it was two boxes that we installed. We had fixed the stoppage that we had in our wastewater pond. It was in our pond 1, where it goes from pond 1 to pond 2. We had some blockage in there, and we caught it in time. Our pond 1 was getting pretty full, and turned out it was a piece of one of our old covers that we had on there previously. A piece that gotten ripped off and sucked into that crossover pipe. We've been continuing to clean culverts and ditches. That's an ongoing thing. We repaired a soft spot on San Moritz. We had that popped up in the middle of the road. With all the drainage that we've had and all the water running, that had to have been part of it. So we ended up getting that fixed and taken care of. We had fixed a hydraulic leak that we had on our front end loader. It was a leak on one of our hoses that ran the radiator fan, but we got that taken care of. We returned our rental blade and exchanged it out for our roller for the roads. And we got all of our equipment ready for road maintenance. We got our walk and roll put on our blade. We got our water truck running, our lig truck, our transfer pump, and we got some mag ordered as well. And we had we cleared all the snow out in our gravel pit for our crushing ops, which they're currently working on right now. And our just continued equipment maintenance and our water and wastewater operations. And we've been looking into our I&I that we got going on in our sewer. Been checking our weekly chlorine residuals. Been doing meter swaps, or meter reads and rereads, as well as smashing trash as well. As far as our fleet goes, all of our staff pickups are operational. All of our dump trucks are currently operational. That's hit or miss though. If we usually have one that goes down, it's a continued battle that we have. We had to replace a hydraulic pump on one of our dump trucks, and also a starter as well. Our graders, everything else, let's see, our graders operational. We did get our smooth drum roller, water truck, big truck, backhoes, operational, skid steer. Our plow trucks, we're down to just 2 now. One of our plow trucks sprung a coolant leak in the tank. We are in the process of getting that fixed as well. Hopefully by next week. Hopefully we don't get any more snow though, so hopefully we don't need it. Our back trailer, it's operational, but that thing can go down at any time. We always have problems with it. Same thing with our loader. As far as I know, our air curtain burner's operational. We haven't had to use it in a while, but we have faith that it's going to work. And our generator's operational. And as far as our safety incidences, I still have 0. And I know Shauna was talking about our new trucks that we had ordered, our 550s. I've reached out to the guy. He said nothing is scheduled yet. Now I tried to be more specific with him and ask how this process actually works. I still haven't got an answer on that, but it's like a state fleet program. I don't know how all that works. He hasn't responded back to me yet as far as how that process goes. So as of right now, still nothing on our new trucks. As far as our blade lease, I'm still waiting to hear back from ACE on that. The finance guy had a family emergency, so that our numbers got pushed back, but he's promising me that we'll have them by this week. So as soon as I get those, I will let you guys know. And then as far as the timber mainline extension, we got a list of parts that we need for that extension. I'm still waiting to hear back as far as when we can get them. If anything is going to take, months. I'm still waiting on that, but I got a quote for, I think it was $11,200 to complete that extension.
How far you plan on extending it?
How far?
Yeah,
I believe the total project was 520 feet. Now, we already have some C900 in the yard, which we can use, which we'll use all that. So I made sure to order enough to finish it and have a little extra for future leaks that we can repair pipe with.
Okay. Anything else, Trevor?
I believe that's all I got at the moment.
Okay. I do have one question for you. You mentioned you had ordered mag. I'm assuming you meant mag chloride. I thought we were using lignin sulfonate. Are we now using something different, or are we mixing it, or?
So we're using a new product. Wanting to kind of test out a new product from Jimco, I believe is the company, and they're based out of Grand Junction, and it's like a sugar based lig. I mean, it's not the same thing that we've been using, but it's a different product. And we're just testing it out to see if this is going to do better than our lig. The lig that we've gotten in the past, it seems to have, it's not holding up like it used to. And we're wanting to try something new, and it's the same price.
So if you guys start looking at something that's corrosive, we probably need to have some discussion about that. I know lignin sulfonate is it's classified as non-corrosive. It does have very slight corrosive properties for aluminum, and some truck bodies and things like that are aluminum now, but it's minor. But if you go to mag chloride or something like that, we're going to start rusting cars out. So whatever this thing is that you're testing, it would be interesting to hear the details on it. And I'd like to make sure that we're cautious about what we use, just so we don't cause problems for residents.
It's, if I'm correct, Trevor, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the same percentage of the mag lig mix, correct? The mag is the same percentage. It's just the sugar compound that was changed from mag to sugar, correct?
That's the way I understood it.
That's the way I understand it as well.
Okay.
That was my question, because it smells different.
It does.
My wife said the same thing. She can smell the
Definitely,
difference.
I can smell the difference, yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to say, I thought the insurance roads look great.
Perfect. Yep, thank you. I'll let the guys know.
Okay, thank you, Trevor.
You bet.
Financial. I don't know what to say about the financial. I don't know if you or Corey has a comprehension. I mean, I was looking at the numbers, and it looks like we're between 25 and 35% of the income has been received against the budget that we have. So I would, if I perceived that we're on track, but that's all I can make from looking at that.
Yeah, I had a question on when I'm sorry, I didn't print it out how I was running. What was the last column? I couldn't figure out what the last column meant. The heading.
To be honest, I don't do any of that now,
Okay.
so
How about that?
Yeah, what is,
First year, it's the percent.
is that what it says, percent? On mine, it didn't say anything. Okay.
Yeah, that's a percent.
I was about to
Okay.
say, I thought it was percent, but
Okay.
I'm not familiar.
Okay,
Good. the report, or it must not have gone over.
If I
Okay,
looked at that column, I would answer my question about what percentage we are now.
yeah,
Okay.
my mistake. Okay.
Any other comments on?
It's just, we pumped more in March water than the previous year. I just want to state that. for the
Yes.
record.
Yeah,
So-
that's
Oh,
next.
it's not, okay,
Yeah,
all right.
that's not part of the financial.
I keep
so-
jumping ahead.
Well, actually, I guess that is. It says we
Yeah.
received 292,301 levy property tax of 704.79, so. You know, that's easily on track. We pumped 4,509,556 gallons of water between the 4 wells, which is 435,148 more than this time last year. You know, we do have more residents, you know, we're gonna continue to see that trend with more people building in here.
Yes, sir.
Beyond that, I don't know what else, there is to discuss in the area. Okay. All right. So, unfinished business, the auditor contract signing, you sent a copy of the contract. Did everyone have a chance to take a look at that?
I think it looks fine.
Yeah.
Okay, Julie, Robin and Derek, have you had a chance to look at that contract for the auditor?
I glanced at it. I didn't see anything that looked like an issue.
Yeah, same here.
Okay, well, and I make a motion that we approve that contract for the auditor.
Second,
Okay, Chris has seconded it. Corey's in favor. Okay, I got a thumbs up from both of them online, so when this is over, we will sign that, Shauna. Don't let me get out of here without that thing being signed.
Got it.
Okay. Let's see what else. The tree service bids. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to kind of look at them. We asked for hourly costs for these guys, and a couple of them didn't give it to us in hourly.
Yes, sir.
One of them I was actually able to figure out, we did bury it down in there, it was $280 an hour. Another guy just said, you pay me $5,100 some dollars at the end of every month.
Yes, sir.
And I
And
did not comprehend how.
that was Cutting Edge Tree Works. I did reach out to them after Trevor gave me the bid. And asked, this isn't really what we asked for.
Right.
And she told me, divide that weekly rate by 40 hours. And that's how they bid their jobs.
So they basically want full-time employment.
I did explain to them that the last service that we had worked about 80 hours through the summer. So she was completely aware of that. She just said how they would approach the project was by a 40-hour work week. And that would be, a couple of weeks out of the summer. That's how they did their jobs.
The thing is, we don't know when we're gonna need the sort of services. We can't just say, oh, we'll schedule you for this week and we'll schedule you for this week.
Right.
That's one of those things that we're gonna have to.
So it was my understanding, Trevor, that the OM shop kind of identified the trees and the Sawyer worked on his own basis of when he could come and get to our trees, right? We
Yep.
didn't really have a set schedule with him.
Nope.
So Trevor, did you have a chance to look at all these bids?
Yeah, briefly I did. And yeah, I guess it was just that one. Yeah, I mean, because I specifically told them like break it down and they, just what Shauna said. Didn't matter what they're doing, if they're cutting trees, if they're climbing trees, if they're pruning, whatever, it's all the same rate to them.
I guess, I'm uncomfortable with that. It's, we didn't really give us what we asked. Yeah, we could try to back it in, but again, what if we, you know, I'd like to know that we have some flexibility, because we might use up everything that we have in the budget,
Mhm.
and then we have a big windstorm through here that breaks a bunch of trees down, and, you
Right,
know, and then we need to call somebody back in, and, you know, maybe they could handle that too, but, it'd be nice to know we could call somebody and say, we need somebody to give us a couple days' work. 'Cause
Right.
we, you know, we got tower and trees down in our tank area or something.
right.
And so, Trevor, after looking at the bids, I'm curious what your take on, 'em. Is there a clear one that's clearly head and shoulders above the others, or are there one or two that we need to look more closely at? Do we need to go back and ask for any clarification on any of them, or?
Not that I can think of. Honestly, we didn't have any issues with the Sawyer, right? Is that who we had originally?
Southwest Sawyers.
Southwest Sawyer, yeah.
Their bid is $280 an hour though. Some of the others were cheaper than that.
Yeah. I mean, how we've used them at least the last 2 years that I know. And I didn't have any issues with them, but they would come out whenever we needed them to. I don't know about these other ones though. Unless we try them.
So, Robin or Derek, do you guys have any comments on these bids?
No, I'm not really familiar, like how much or how often we actually need them or use them. Occasionally I saw where there was a tree across the road and seemed like, you know, it got cleaned up pretty quick, but I do not have an opinion about which one would be the best, not knowing how often we actually use them.
I'll just say, you know, from my perspective, I've read the bids, and of course, you know, any bid's going to come with all the recommendation letters, things like that. But I'm a big word of mouth person too, and so I think it's what people say sometimes off the record that makes the most difference to me. And I think I've talked to a lot of people who have used Coronado before, who are not part of the recommendation letters, and they all speak very highly. So I'm looking at numbers. I'm also looking at, you know, quality and the kind of job they're going to do, responsiveness and quality of work. And so that's why, you know, I know where I'm leaning as far as what company, but that's, you know, that's me.
Okay, and so may I ask which way you're leaning and?
Yeah, the Coronado bid. I mean, like I say, its numbers are there, but I've heard so many people speak very highly of just the work they do, professionalism. I mean, everything, every box gets checked. So I have no doubt if we have anything going on, we have to give them a call. I have no doubt that they'd be up here as soon as they can to take care of any issues.
That can help you.
Okay, Corey, did you have an opinion?
Well, I'm looking at the Coronado one right now, and if I'm reading this correctly, if we have an emergency tree that needs to be removed, it's $250 plus their hourly rate of $250 an hour. We're looking at $500-600 to remove a tree. Am I reading that right?
I just read that as it's $250 for that call.
For each emergency call, plus the hourly rate as listed above.
Oh, that's the hourly rate. Oh, wow. That gets a little expensive, doesn't it?
How many emergency trees do we ever have to cut? I mean, I'm just asking, I have no idea.
Yeah.
What's your criteria for an emergency tree? May I ask?
I'm sorry.
What's your criteria for an emergency tree?
Well, that was their criteria.
I guess we're saying if it's across the road.
I guess if we call them after hours or we call them on a weekend, that would have, is what I'm assuming they're referring to, but I'm making an assumption.
So the contract that the attorney drew up for Southwest Sawyers, when I read over it, it described an emergency of having a 48-hour window to respond to the emergency.
40.
48 hours is what's wrote into the contract. So I would assume that would be work that wasn't prior scheduled or a tree that wasn't previously identified by the O&M shop.
Do we know, no chainsaw where one of our crew guys can clear a tree out of the road and not pay fire department for sawyers?
Well, I'll just say this, call a plumber on a Sunday. You're paying more than $250, I guarantee you. So
That's not-
Or you have thoughts?
Typically, I'm sorry to interrupt, typically up a pine fire, we've had trees overrode before. All over the district, and we're a phone call away, and we have sawyers. Trained sawyers, qualified sawyers, to remove the tree, it's a safety hazard. And that's something that I would not hesitate to call 911. Tree across the road, if there's a tree across the road, if there's a tree hanging up that threatens the road, that it's an immediate threat. I sure as heck would probably pick up the phone, call 911.
Is that a service fee?
There's no service, you pay
Okay.
taxes.
Okay, so emergency
Yeah.
calls, we could deal with that way, is what you're saying.
So that's why I asked that, those kind of emergency, like that's
Emergency.
immediate.
Okay.
That's something we don't want to, it could affect
Good to know.
safety, right?
Ambulance services, fire trucks.
Yes, sir.
I'm tossed up between, what is it, Woodchuck? Woodchuck and Coronado. I've heard great things about Coronado. I've also heard great things about Woodchuck, and I've had not so pleasant dealings with Woodchuck as well.
Well, and as I was sharing with you, I personally, from my personal case, I have had unpleasant dealings with Southwest Sawyer. So,
I have to recuse myself. Conflict of interest. I don't want any, I can't go either way. So,
do we want to bid on this tonight? I mean, vote on this? Do we have enough information? Are you guys comfortable voting on one or the other? I have to ask for a recommendation.
It says that CCFM is available for any questions that the board may have.
Who's that?
That's Coronado.
I think, I just think it's nice that they're at the meeting.
I don't know what, anyway. So,
It seems like maybe we should try to go with the least expensive at this time. If it's just going to be for services that are on a regular basis. And if we in fact have an emergency, then sounds like we can call up Pine. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
yes,
I actually have a question for Robert and whoever I is.
Danielle, I believe is her name.
Danielle.
Yeah.
Danielle. What's your guys' availability, like, planning wise, if we get a few trees, are you guys weeks out, months out, or here next day?
And can they work a day? If they need a week, whatever.
As far as availability, we can really be there whenever y'all need. We just left Colorado probably a week and a half ago to come back and finish up this New Mexico contract that we're working on. But really, as soon as y'all need, we can be available. We're planning to be back in Colorado in the next couple weeks. So either way, or if y'all needed us before a couple of weeks, then we can accommodate that too. And then just to clarify a little bit on the emergency tree removal part, I did try to put just some verbiage in there that we can be flexible or negotiate pricing as necessary. The contract we're working on right now is for a government down here in New Mexico, and we're actually doing easement trees for them. And part of that contract is emergency tree removal. So we've done quite a bit of that here lately, and it's mostly like high winds. They've had 80-mile-per-hour winds down here. So any emergency tree calls that they've had us on, I mean, we're there within like the next 30 minutes. We try to prioritize that situation. A lot of these trees, whether they're leaning towards houses or uprooting or power lines, we just kind of gauge the situation. But emergency to us is truly like an emergency. We need to drop what we're doing and be there for the individual that needs us right then and there. But again, those things can definitely be negotiated or talked about further if y'all choose to select us. But that contract is coming to a close, so we're going to wrap that up and be back available in Colorado in a couple weeks. And like I said, sooner if needed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to reply to Sony QXBE62. We're not taking personal feelings into it. We were just mentioning that with some of the contracts, they had reference letters included. So that, and I did recuse myself because I think I do have personal feelings. So I'm not voting on this. So there's no question in the future.
Is there anyone online or present from Woodchuck?
Not that I see.
Okay.
I think the only people that showed up were this, the Coronado. The one thing I'll say about these bids, the Coronado bid was definitely the most thorough. And they're not the most expensive either. And what I'm hearing is they have a really good reputation. So.
Yeah, I think it has your insurance on there as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
their insurance.
No. So. I guess I have to say, I'm leaning that way, but. Is somebody wanting to make a motion one way or the other?
Derek, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I'll make a recommendation. I'd say before I do though, as an FYI, I used a tree cutting service about 3 years ago before I knew about any of the other bidders in our board packet, and it wasn't great. Not great communication. Didn't do what I asked them to do, and when I called back, and it wasn't much explanation. So, that kind of professionalism, that kind of customer service. I think we all know customer service is damn near dead at this point in this world, but I feel like that matters. Quality of work, all that stuff matters to me. So I have no problem making a recommendation to go with the Coronado bid to be our tree service.
Okay, do we have a second?
I think we gotta make a motion, not a recommendation.
Oh, yeah, is that a motion, Derek?
That's a motion, yes.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay, Corey is seconding it, and I have to say, that's the way I was leaning based on the bid here too. I'm in favor of the Coronado one. Robin?
I'm in favor.
That's a thumbs up. Carissa?
Recuse.
You recruit, so it's 4 in favor, 1 abstaining. So we will go with the Coronado bid. So we'll have to get a contract drawn up. Are you in contact with Paul? Is that something he needs to review the contract and?
So he did draw the original contract between us and Southwest Sawyers, so I would assume that that's something.
Yes. So this is slightly different information, and it's broken up a little different way, where you need to get with Paul.
Okay.
And have him help us set up a contract for this.
Sounds great.
Okay. All right, Corey, the next item is post policy change.
Yeah, and that pretty much started with Bruce promising raises for things that weren't in the
Right.
personnel manual.
Mhm.
So I read over it, and there's a lot of things in there that I didn't agree with. We should be giving employees a 50-cent raise to retain their certification. They get a raise for getting it, and it's their responsibility to keep it. And if they lose that, if they don't keep up on their state certification, then we should be taking that money back, because that's. Want to make a sense?
I understand what you're saying.
So in there, you get your C1s and your wastewater Ds and so on and so forth. It's a 1%, 2%, 3%, 4% in executive order. So you get your class 1, you get a 1% raise. Your 2s, you get a 2% raise. And then, I don't know what you guys feeling with our, street certifications, but I'll put in there, 25-cent raise for a sign technician, 50 cents for a traffic patrol supervisor, and an accredited course in gravel and road construction maintenance. That would be a 50-cent raise.
Do we need to be more specific than that? Especially when it comes to the road course. I know that Gerald took that road course and it sounds like it was good, and we own the information now, so we can refer to it. We can use it as reference, but is it the best one? Is it the right one?
That, I don't know, I started digging into it and then I got busy with my job, so I didn't have a whole lot of time. I did ask Trevor
Yeah.
and I believe I asked Gerald to look into some of these courses as well, to give me some information, and I yet to receive anything. I know I spoke to Trevor about it, but I don't think I spoke to Gerald about it.
So has everyone had a chance to read this page that Corey tried rewriting here as a draft?
Yes,
Do we have any comments on it?
I think it's probably a good idea. I think that that would give some encouragement to better ourselves as employees if, you know, our employees are interested. Because there's some incentive for them. So I am in favor of that myself, yes.
Yeah, I am too.
Part of the reason, sorry, I put in the stuff for the roads is, traffic control here is absolutely floored. They put up 2 signs, it's hard to see any cones. And when I don't know if they're doing sewer maintenance or whatever, they had holes dug up all over the road. And a cone sitting behind a pile of dirt. So,
Who will pay for the training?
what's that?
Who will pay for the training? If you're gonna pay them an increase.
While we're having this discussion,
Well, I didn't make-
Is that addressed, is that addressed
it's
in
not
policy?
exactly this. We have to look at our labor salaries and see what's in there. I have not done that.
Okay. Well, everything that you said sounds like it makes sense to me. However, I don't think we can make a change to the policy until we have a little bit more specific information.
What kind of specific information you're looking for?
Well,
Is that,
What's that, the street one?
yeah,
yeah, so this, okay, sign technician. Is there a course for?
Well, I'll do ATSA,
I'm sorry?
American Traffic Safety. I'll get the acronym. It's, yeah, I think.
So there is a standard.
Yes.
I
Yes,
think what we need to do is specify what that standard would be, and the other
That's
thing that was, the other thing that was just brought up is, are we paying for this or not? Is some of these we pay for and some we don't?
Currently, you guys we're already doing,
the water.
the water and the wastewater. The only thing I'm adding into it is the sewer, and I just
Right,
revise this a little bit. Cause correct me if I'm wrong, I have in front of me with 25 cents for your one or something like that, and then 50 cents and then $1. I don't remember off the top of my head.
I don't remember off the top of my head either, but I believe you are correct.
so do we want to leave this policy reading like it currently does, that says, if approved in advance, they'll pay the fees, but, I mean, do we know which ones are being paid for? Has it just been standard that we pay for all of them, or?
The policy is very, it's written as, I believe we pay for 1 or 2 a year, correct? And then after they get to their Ds, I don't believe the district pays or gives raises.
Okay, one initial cert per year.
I didn't change any of that verbiage on the top.
Right.
That's straight out of the
Policy.
But if we're going to change the policy, shouldn't we address all of it that's in question? You know, I look at this, And if I was an employee, I would have no idea if you're gonna pay for it or not. Which ones are you paying for? Which ones aren't you paying for? It would be really nice if there was a policy that made it clear. So I would like to suggest that we go back and edit this thing just a little bit more before we vote on it.
Okay,
And so that's gonna
Yeah.
have to fall to the next board. But I would like to, I think the things you're trying to do are good, Corey. I would just like to make sure that we're specific enough with some of this, the traffic and road training. And I'd also like to make sure that we clarify a little bit what's being paid for and what's not by the district. I think that.
Agreed. I agree with that. I think since I won't be a board member at the next meeting, I just want to be in the record as saying that I can't think of one industry that doesn't encourage, employees to go and get more education and move up that ladder as far as pay. I mean, education is very common to go get more credit hours, to move along your salary schedule, those kind of things. The details is always who's going to pay for the education, those and that kind of matter. But I think philosophically, 30,000-foot view, we should be encouraging employees to go get these extra hours, extra education, because it's going to make our district better.
And I agree with that. I just want to spell it out. And maybe
Yeah, I agree.
we decide that we don't get a huge hit in 1 year when everyone takes a whole bunch of courses, as we limit how many will be paid for in a year. We pay for them, but you can only get one a year, or you can only get 1 and 2 initial certs, and in other words,
said it right here too, there would be no more than 1 initial certification each class per employee.
but what does that mean per year? Does that mean that's all we pay for? It's not clear to me when I read that, what it's really saying.
In each calendar year.
A statement over here.
In each class per employee in a calendar year. There will be no more than 1 cert. So is that saying we will pay for
No more than 1
cert?
initial cert in each class. So there's, if they can, they can get for 1 in both distribution and collection, and then get their D in both water or wastewater.
So they could get like
Right,
several different initial certs, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
But it's still not clear. Does that mean it's gonna be paid for? Because when I read up above, it says with prior approval, it may be paid for. I still don't know which class is being paid for.
I just have a comment. I think that the one thing about training and the possibility of those resources for training is the greatest employee recruitment and retainment that you can have. And when you set a budget for training and you have a manager or administrator or, office manager that decide that these are classes that you need to improve the citizens of your district, is the best direction to go. I think determining 1 or 2 certs or whatever it may be really limits your employees and your managers to do what's best for your district. And I don't mean to overstep, but
No.
it's a really important piece.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think this is saying limited. They're just saying no more than so many per year. I would like it personally. I would love it if it said, we will pay for your certifications, but you can't get 5 certifications a year because the budget doesn't account for it. Here's how many certs you can get paid for a year. If you want to do above and beyond, that's up to you. But I mean, bottom line is I just don't think this is clear. And I think I am in favor of training. Training does retain people. It makes for better employees. And I think we need to look at it, and it can be an incentive. So I think we can do something. Go ahead, Derek.
I was gonna say, just to piggyback what Katie was saying, I appreciate what she says, because, again, my world's education, and believe it or not, what teachers want the most of isn't more money. They want more professional development. They want more support. Okay. I mean, not money, not salary, PD and support. And so you say, well, Derek, that's education. No, we're dealing with human beings. And so as far as a recruitment retention kind of piece, Katie hit the nail on the head right there without a doubt. So just want to say that.
Okay. So if I may, I would like to just suggest that we go back and take another crack at this. and then let the next board make the decision.
Corey, did you see Daryl's?
Okay.
I'm confused about the word class. So is it a class as in sitting down, taking a class, or is the class A the level? When you say class,
I believe it's level.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right,
Classification.
yes, classification, okay.
You know,
Or just the bird.
Each classification, okay.
I go back to what I was saying before. If there's enough discussion and misunderstanding what this is saying, I think we can do a better job with this.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you took it on, Corey. I'm glad you're looking at it. And I think it's gonna be better when we're done. But I'm not ready to say this is the final product.
And Julie, to answer your question, you have the budget ahead of us, and usually I'm at home and I have it on one computer. So I cannot answer your question on that. I know there is a line item for that. I couldn't tell you how much, and usually we add like 10% each year, so.
And I believe there's a line item
Travel
for
and
it as well.
Training, okay, yeah, I think it's per, what's the group, per water, per sewer,
Yes, ma'am.
per road.
Yeah.
And we may not have enough in the road if he's getting more certifications. So. And to answer again, Sony XQ, can you tell us who you are and where you live? It's good to see results. Well, the water you drink is handled by Tim, and he has our most certifications. I think he has a lot of certifications without getting, because I don't know, technical. He helps us by not paying consultants to make sure our water and sewer are flowing and drinkable. So you will see improvements and results.
Sometimes you don't see it, but it's in the budget.
He's one great example of a person who's got a lot of certifications, and he handles our water.
And we are mandated by state to have certified operators in water and wastewater.
But for instance, the roads, you know, we had an employee that went out and he said, you know, he came and talked to the manager at the time. The manager said, sounds like a good idea, go get a cert. We haven't had anybody certified in maintaining gravel roads. We have somebody now that has a certification. And again, now we have to do diligence and we have to determine, is that the same class we want to continue with? And if it is, fine, let's write it into the policy and let's encourage others to get that certification too. So, yeah.
And he's proud of what he does, and I think that that says a lot.
Anything else on the proposed policy change right now? Okay, let's move on. New business, Paul. You had to sit through a lengthy meeting. Paul Valdez from Mucker Fire.
Pine Fire, right? Yeah, we're the fire department that serves your district. Yeah, since the last time I was here, we've had a couple changes. I'm just gonna back up. The prior district manager, we worked together. Trevor did a great job with his guys. We gravelled the road, the egress route, escape route off of East Pine Top, which was fantastic. That whole east area really hit our radar. I think it already was on Trevor and prior leadership's radar anyway. We managed to secure a RSG NFPA grant to help pay for some rock to improve that. Trevor's guys did a killer job improving that as well, as far as straightening that out, and a bunch of stuff. Guys did a killer job on that. That's one. After that, which I wish this could have been done in reverse order, we ended up having a logger. We got another small kind of a trial grant, if you will, from the Bureau of Land Management to go in and do field reduction project in between the escape route and the property boundaries of private property boundaries for the homes, between the escape route and like Little Bear. Did I say Little Bear? Is that all like Little Bear?
Yeah.
So there's that swath of, call it 11 acres that, Andy McCoy went in and did a killer, beautiful job of logging that. It was awesome. We ended up, droning that, turn that information in over to the BLM with a small blurb of what we thought, what progress we made as far as getting rid of trees that were diseased and standing dead, deformed trees that, so we really kind of went through there and picked the trees we removed. And the drone, we sent the drone information over to the BLM. Not only from ground level, but we did it from a vertical as well, looking down. So they could see the tree spacing, the canopy spacing, which is what they were looking for, quite honestly. That's what we're looking for is that separation in the canopy. You don't want fire spreading, jumping from tree to tree to tree to tree easily. We want to challenge it. Ground fire is much easier to control than when it gets vertical. It's up in the canopy and it's running, and that's right up against, that east Little Bear area. So they were so pleased they used the word love in her email. They loved the work that was done over there, which is awesome. Now the paid for the grant, done. With the matching, thank you, Trevor, and your guys. That was awesome. Unfortunately, so the second part of the story is that we were told verbally that we could continue work up towards Pinecone, the gate up at Pinecone. Continue that buffer, right? That fuels reduction. Just keep doing what we were doing, right? Well, we were just informed just a few days ago that funding is going to be delayed until we'll know more in the fall. So unfortunately, Andy McCoy is going to pull all his equipment out of there, and we're unfortunately we're going to be done in there. Not done because we do have a big pile of slash that's still back there, and we've got to burn that. My game plan was to burn that. Let's wait until the fall, maybe winter. It's pretty big. I really hate to do that and that's up with the chief too as well. If he tells me, hey, Paul, I want that thing done next week. But so far, that is what has been left back there. Trevor, I don't know the last time you've been back there. It's been pretty. There's been a lot of snow. I think Andy pulled a lot of the logs out of there. I don't know what's left.
No, there's still.
There's still a fair amount left.
Yeah.
So once he gets access, he can pull all that out. And he did leave for the former manager. There was a pile of slash that they were going to move over across the street that the residents could pick from for firewood. Unfortunately, that was going to be something Trevor's guys they were going to have to deal with that. Unfortunately, they're going to have to move it. Yeah,
It'd be easier to get to once he picks up the logs because it's behind his pile. The slash, because there's the mound.
So the big pile, that's when we're going to burn. The big pile is when we're going to burn is behind.
Oh, that's
the one we're going to burn. We're going to burn. He specifically.
We got her, she's so excited.
Marshmallows. It is big.
So then so what's left, the log that's others?
So there's some logs, I believe, off to the left
Yeah.
of the logs going down, going down, that he picked those out. So for Forest Lake residents to use as firewood.
Wow.
So
If we're talking about the same.
it's a smaller pile.
It's like a hundred long.
How do you get access to it?
Yes,
I'll be back
Yeah, I think it's something about the gate. Yeah,
I believe what Bruce's plan was to have our guys move it to where it was more accessible
Across
for
the-
everybody. Yes, over by the brush and the slash tile.
correct. That's what I understood as well. And it is a smaller file,
Okay.
yeah, but it's good firewood, man.
So you said you may not burn till fall. Wouldn't it make more sense now with all the moisture we've had to burn now than wait till fall when it could be dry?
I quite honestly, a pile that size, I like to see the boys of the snow on the ground before I light it, and I want to let it dry more. So it's cleaner. The other thing I'm concerned about is smoke, and the drier it is, the less smoke it's gonna
Yeah.
have. And I want to smoke out Carissa and her neighbors.
Okay.
The other thing that I know that you had talked to Jamie about that I think she wanted you to address the board about
Oh.
was an agreement with the Forest Service and how you didn't see that that was necessary for an agreement for use of water out of Simpatico.
No, typically that agreement, if we're gonna pull water out like we did for Little Bear Fire, that's almost like done on the spot. Yeah, come on out, we're gonna pay
I know.
0.003 cents per gallon. Yeah, you agree? Yeah, I agree. Here, sign here, boom, done. Now, do they have to pull? I personally would say, yeah, go talk to Mike over at Fred and pull out of ICO. It's the time between, if there's something here at Forest Lakes, the time is so nominal, so minimal that I just don't really see taking a bunch of water out of. I think they took 4,000 gallons. If I remember.
The reason Bruce originally brought this up was because in talking to somebody, I know Bruce couldn't be reached when the need originally rose.
Mhm.
So front office just made a decision. They just said, do it.
Mhm.
And, we could always continue in that mode, but Bruce thought, well, if somebody can't be reached, or it's a weekend or whatever, something
Not a big-
happens,
not a
you
big
guys
deal.
just have the authority, you can just go dip in it. And so that's why.
We have options. We have other options.
Okay, so you're saying you've got that option with Vallecito already,
Absolutely.
and it doesn't really cost much in time wise, and so you don't see the value.
I don't, you just have so little water in.
I know it's a pretty small pond.
It's not.
You can call it a lake if you want.
I'm like front property.
So.
Okay, well, thank you, Paul.
Sure.
Anything else that you wanted to bring up?
I have a question. Maybe Paul can help us. What about the area below Forest Lakes, Bear Creek area? I mean, if we do an evacuation, their roads are pretty. Do you have any ideas or suggestions?
Yes, I have communicated with the property owner. Deering owns that property on the other side of the gate. So you got gate 1, which is right there, right? That's the first gate, right? And then it winds down, and then you got the second gate, which that leads into the Deering property, formerly Terrio Ranch. So we open that gate, we have access to that gate, and then we go on to Bear Creek Road, and then we dump out on 501. That's the egress route, right? Now, Mr. Deering has indicated that he's fine with improvements of that road, and it's not great. I mean, the work that Trevor and his guys did, man, that looks like Highway 1, man. It's beautiful. From that lower gate, the middle gate, all the way out to Bear Creek, it needs improvement. Deering has given us, like I said, permission to, you guys can improve it, but I'm not gonna drop it down. I'm not gonna help you financially with it. So that's kind of where we're at. Bruce had indicated that he was gonna help out with that at that time. So we'll see, we'll just have to see. It's not like it's impassable. It's not like we can't use it.
Is there like an egress contract or something with that individual to use?
Darren has given us complete, got gate codes and everything, like totally cool. If you need
But
it.
I mean, at any time, he can just shut us off and then we're stuck.
I would assume that there's been a legal easement.
That's all, yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that.
I
That's
don't either.
something,
I don't even.
that's a good question. I don't, do you have any idea?
I don't, I would assume that there was some,
I would think you would have to have some kind of legal document, and
I would think so.
that's.
I
probably
can,
something that
I can look into those.
Might be a handshake. Pretty good.
I hope not.
I've heard
Change
enough.
ownerships and.
Right.
I
Other than my communication with him via email, and him saying, yeah, you guys can totally use that. But I don't want a lot of bunch of traffic, you know, like we had planned. And I believe Chief still wants to do a mock evacuation drill for Forest Lakes this season,
Mhm.
like in May. And he wanted folks to be able to run all the way through that, dump out on Bear Creek and then dump out on the 501. I'm not sure I'm gonna get approval from Mr. Daring, the property owner, I'm not sure you can agree with that. It's okay, we've got other, we have other things we can do.
You might actually look at a plot map and see if there's a fire easement there for that road. Cause if there's an easement on the plat that's dedicated for, you know, fire access road, then he has no legal authority to tell us we can't.
Yeah, copy.
Yeah.
We'll have to look into it.
It's just worth. Tying up any loopholes and making sure all the i's are dotted and t's are crossed.
Yeah, as far as any improvement in the future, Bruce may have been discussed with you, but at this point, I don't know that we have any corporate knowledge of that with the folks that are here. So I think that's something that we need to be looking at. I think the next board can take a look at that issue. I mean, it's not something we can understand today, so. But yeah, I think having a road that's a little more passable would always be advantageous in an emergency situation. But what's it gonna cost, and, you know, are there grants available for that? It's on private property, can you get grants to improve a fire, emergency fire escape route if it's on private property?
Yeah, that's a question from Mr. Daring, property owner.
When's the last time we had an evacuation drill? It's been a while.
All the way up to-
It's been 2 or 3 years, hasn't it? Maybe
Yeah.
4.
I think it's a good idea to have another one, but. Just had,
Okay.
He wants cattle in back there, and that's why he's real particular about that gate being open and closed. So,
Did we have anything else for Paul? Okay.
Our undying thanks.
Yes,
being
thanks.
such
So
a great fireman and EMT.
Let's move on. This is kind of a really long marathon meeting as it is. O&M fleet discussion. Whose item is that?
It should be.
Is it Trevor's?
I think we went through it. but-
Yeah.
Trevor?
What exactly are we going over here?
I think, Daryl's having issues with Mike, because he was talking to me about, instead of replacing the leaf truck, purchasing a newer dump truck that's not breaking down every 5 seconds.
Okay, so what's the ultimate cost to us? Does that cost us more for the truck than it would have for the leg truck we were looking at?
We have
What
3 in the
cost to
budget,
maintain
the leg and 2 other
plow truck?
500.
Plow trucks. Those are plow trucks. But we had the leg truck in there. What Daryl is proposing is to buy a dump truck instead of a leg truck and then maintain our current leg truck.
And from what I was told, I wondered why the lift truck was down for so long was, they were waiting for a part or something broke and they had to recap the holes. And they only use it for like an hour a day versus the dump truck they use 4 or 5 hours a day.
And from what I understand, we would have to replace the tank too, right? Isn't that what you told me, Trevor or Daryl or somebody told me? that
Yeah.
the tank is gonna start leaking and we're gonna have to take it off and replace it with a poly tank.
Yep,
Yeah.
yeah, we've talked about that. Yeah, and we were,
Dump truck.
yeah, we were kind of going over that again, and I mean, we were talking like, I don't know how much. We got a quote for like a brand new dump truck, and I want to say it was like 160,000. And
I
then,
thought the lick truck was gonna be 40,000 or something, so obviously the budget does not currently have that kind of
Right.
money in it or to do that, so if something like that's gonna be or be done, then that would have to be pushed to an out year.
right. Yeah, and we were talking, you know, if we're gonna spend, you know, that much money on a new piece of equipment, we were kind of discussing why not spend that money on a piece of equipment that we don't even have? And you know, if we have some leftover money, we can put that money into our dump trucks to make them more reliable. So that was something that we were discussing amongst ourselves. And I don't know, that's kind of where we're at right now, but we're kind of looking, it'd be really nice if we could get a little mini excavator. Because we do rent those, you know, several times a week, or not a week, several times a year when we're putting in new taps. They're just more convenient, you know, being on the road and being able to get in tight spots. So I don't know, that's something that we were looking at. And plus we can put a whole bunch of, you know, different attachments on one of those, and, you know, be able to use that for ditch cleaning and culvert cleaning. So that's kind of the route that we're,
So at
kind of
this
looking at.
point, you're not even prepared to make a recommendation at this point. Yeah, you're kicking the idea around and it's just something. Okay, so I guess before the board would act on anything, you guys would have to come forward and make a case and be able to quantify what it would cost and what the benefit is. And so,
Yep.
Okay, so you guys, I guess, keep discussing that stuff. You need to always constantly be looking at your suite of equipment and make sure you've got the right balance of equipment, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're looking at the budget, and I know that budget 2 years ago, so for last year. We had the 2 trucks in there and the lid truck, and I know we raised it because the price is going up. Corey's looking at it to see how much we have, but nothing says we can't take, you know, the budget is a living thing. It can be changed. And we can get together with you and look at that dollar amount and see to split it differently.
Yeah, since they haven't even made a decision what they
Yeah.
want to do yet, I think
Yeah.
at this point, we don't need to spend any more time tonight.
Yeah, I was just gonna give them a number.
Well,
Okay.
You
Unless you don't
can
want
get
to.
the number to them later.
Yeah.
Let's just,
We can get it, Trevor. Trevor, I'm having emails to you bounce back. You're not at shop?
yeah, I had that question too. Somebody said, how come Trevor's emails are bouncing back?
I have no idea.
Okay, it's shop at FLMD.
.com.
FLMD.com.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, could you test that tomorrow? Just make sure that maybe it was a momentary issue, maybe there was just something down. And maybe that's why it bounced back. Maybe it's when they unplugged your system out there and you didn't have internet or something. I mean,
Could be.
let's just verify that that's a good email
And
address.
the tech guy's here tomorrow too.
Okay.
So if that needs to be looked at.
Yeah,
do
I
that.
can send him. What I
Okay.
can get him. Okay.
Okay, sewer letter recap. I don't know if Mark Fusen is on the line or not. I haven't seen his name up there. We did get a letter, like Mark told us we would, that we had a violation of ammonia levels. And, as I understand it, it was not to be, I mean, it was not unexpected because of the amount of infiltration into the sewer system, the amount of snow melt, it's made it really bad this year. And so we had that. Now, in addition, Tim told me a few days ago that we're probably, I think we violated the amount of inflow that we were allowed to bring in to the pond. Is that correct, Trevor? There's only so much we're allowed to bring in over a period of time, and we brought too much water in.
Effluent, it's gonna be the amount going out.
Oh, it's the outgoing. Okay, it's the outgoing. So I think there's gonna be a violation there too. And again, a lot of that has to do with all the water that's getting in around manhole covers and everything else. That's why those guys are, they've got a plan to go out and look at all the systems to find out where the water's coming in. So, and when things dry up and snow melts, we can get in there and start repairing some of those. One of the implications of having these violations that are caused by the amount of water coming in is they will make the size of the plant bigger based on the historic numbers. So if we continue to see in the winter, in the spring, when the snow melts, these large volumes of water coming in, then we have to build a plant that can deal with those kinds of spikes. So it's going to cost us more to build a plant. Don't take care of the problem. So from what I know of the sewer letter recap, I think that's what's going to be discussed here. So, and I don't have any additional information to offer. I know that Tim was telling me they've been trying to manage the outflow really tightly, but you can only hold it for so long. I mean, you've got to let it go eventually. When you have so much coming in, you have no choice. So.
But the good news is that they've looked at our historic numbers and they're willing to work with us.
Yeah.
Because historically we've been in.
Well, and we always communicate with them. They know we're working on it. They know what actions we're taking.
So
there's
all that.
Yeah, there's not likely to be any punitive action taken. It just puts us on notice and. Okay, did you have anything to add to that, Trevor? Okay.
Nope.
All right, LCRR webinar concerns. What is this?
That's what we talked about.
The letter.
Just the concerns. You already covered it.
Okay, so there are no concerns about it, saying we just need.
No, we were talking about scheduling and who's gonna come.
Okay.
Thank you, Scott.
Okay. So the last thing to talk about before disbursements is the decision about adding clay to the gravel crush. And we talked about that a little bit earlier, that is somewhere between $10,300 and maybe up to $11,000 to add a percentage of clay. And that will make our road base hold together better. It'll make the roads more durable. And that seems like a very small price to pay. And that's one where we have to take a look at the budget and see where we could get that $10,000 from. The alternative is they crush less rock so that we can have clay, and that's doable. But I find it hard to believe that we can't find $10,000 a spot somewhere in the budget.
I haven't looked this year.
Okay, but wasn't it gonna cost us less for gravel? Didn't we discuss that last month? That amount, we had 100,000 set aside.
We have 150 set aside.
150 set aside.
Yeah.
And I know George was in contact with, Caesar, right, is his name? And they're gonna come out and do some more surveying and make sure and give us better numbers of how much gravel we have to sacrifice if we don't come up with.
Okay, so what you're saying is we still have information coming that we don't have that would help us make a better decision.
And that's Caesar already got back to you guys, Trevor.
No,
Okay. Then maybe, I think it's a good idea to make the road base more durable. I mean, if you look at the road base we have, it's mostly sand and gravel. And it washes away with rains, you know, it gets washboard really quick and easy because it's so loose. And so that's one of the things Darryl learned from that road maintenance certification class, is that you need a certain amount of binder in it, like a clay, to help it hold together so it's more durable.
Yeah.
So I think we all think that's a really good idea. We need to do something like that. And so the decision that's gonna have to be made is, do we crush a little bit less so we can afford to pay for gravel, or do we have to slacken the budget? So once they do that further survey, Trevor, and we've got more information, then I guess the board at that time can make a decision. And in the meantime, then Corey can take a look at the budget and see if he can find an extra $10,000 in there that can be used. So does anybody have anything to add on that item?
I swear we talked about, we thought gravel out of large stockpile. I thought we thought we had more gravel than originally thought, and we weren't gonna use that all. So I'm looking through my notes.
Well,
Does anyone?
In the
All
past,
that?
they mined more gravel than they crushed the last time. They
Okay.
quit crushing when they reached the budget. And so if they can get more gravel out of it this time, then they could still do the same thing. We could wind up with a stockpile that they crush the next time they come out.
I got you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not missing anything, am I, Trevor?
No.
Okay.
Nope. You're good.
So, and they don't know for sure, that's what he was saying, they're gonna come out and do a more in-depth survey to figure out how much gravel they have to be mined.
Yeah,
And at that point, they can figure out, okay, how much can we mine? And till the pit is played out, and then how much of it will we be crushing? And now we've got this other variable way.
okay, yeah.
So,
And you're correct, the contract does read they'll crush what we previously mined.
yes, what we previously,
Yes,
that's
sir.
what you're talking.
Okay.
Yes, we do have a pile that
Okay,
has not been crushed, and they will be crushing that.
But when you crush stone, you don't have clay in it. You have stone and shards.
But yeah, that's not the issue. I think we all want to put the clay in it,
No,
it's how much of it can be crushed.
There's a lot of people that may not know that.
Yeah, and I didn't know until we started talking about this
Yeah.
either, so. Yeah, so I'm very happy that we have figured that out, and I look forward to ultimately having a better road base on our roads here. Okay.
I think it goes beyond just saving on gravel too. If the roads are holding up better, then you're saving on person hours, fuel, all that. So
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any other comments before we move on to disbursements? If not, somebody want to address disbursements, Corey?
Anybody got any questions on the disbursement? in the bill?
Robin, question?
I don't think I have any questions on the disbursements or anything, no.
yeah, me neither.
I'd like to make a motion to approve March 1st, 2023 to March 31st, 2023 disbursements in the amount of around $63,000, $222.03.
Second,
And in favor, Eric,
Robin.
Robin, okay? All right, that's approved. With that, I move that we adjourn.
Second,
First and seconds, Corey's in favor, Derek? And Robin? Okay. I show it's 9:06 and we are adjourning the meeting. Thank you for your help, everybody.
the next meeting, May 9, 7 o'clock.
Yeah, and for those of you on the board, thank you so much what you've done over the past few years. Really
Yes, thank
appreciate it.
you.
We've worked well together as a board. I enjoyed getting to know you, work with you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, old board.
Thank you to the current board.
Yeah.
Good luck to the current board.
Yeah. Good luck
Thanks.
to the board.
May 3rd.
Thanks.
May 3rd. Thanks for coming.
Mark, thank you.
All right. We can stop the recording. Does anybody understand what that equal is to